What's going on, guys? Here we are. It's your boy Burgundy Boss back with another episode of the Prime Time Recap. Uh, we saw a shocker tonight. We did. We saw something that I didn't think it was going to happen. You've got the same the same Saints we saw last week. They just lost to the Cowboys, and the Bucks come in here. They're pretty hot. They just beat Buffalo, so this was kind of shocking what we saw tonight. But we're gonna get right into this recap. The title is Dennis Allen being the Buccaneers' Kryptonite, and it was crazy tonight. Nobody could have predicted a shutout. First time Brady has been shut out since Week 15, 2006. So you're talking 16 years since he's been shut out. Like Brady's an offense. They were saying it on the broadcast tonight. Brady is an offensive coordinator on the field. It was crazy. So let's get right into this. I put down my keys for the game tonight. Tampa must get the ball into the hands of its playmakers. Okay. Tampa must pressure Taysom Hill and force him to beat them. Okay. Well, that didn't happen. No, Taysom didn't beat him. This was a defensive juggernaut tonight. This was a defensive class tonight. The job that Dennis Allen did, on short notice, finding out that he was going to have to lead these men into battle this week. And, boom, he leads them in, shuts out Brady. And the other note that I wrote down was last time the Buccaneers were shut out was December 16th, 2012. Ooh. So it's been almost a decade for them since they've been shut out. As poor as a franchise as that was prior to them getting Brady, I know that's, kind of crazy coming from me as a Washington fan talking about someone else's poorly run franchise, but it is what it is. And then for New Orleans, they won tonight. But I said they must pressure Brady and make him hold the ball. They did. He definitely did. They definitely pressured him. He was sacked, I think, 3 times tonight. Cam Jordan just had one heck of a night tonight. It was great. It was crazy. It was on fire. And then the other note that I had for New Orleans was that they must trust their run game and they must dominate the line of scrimmage. Well, I'm not going to say that they trusted the run game because they didn't. They didn't use it, really. If you call their run game all those QB powers that they did to Taysom Hill, it's not really trusting your run game. I was more referring to using Kamara and Ingram as a 1-2 punch and then using Taysom Hill when you needed some short yardage, some fourth to goes. I thought they were going to have to put up 30 points to win this game tonight. Little did I know that I was dealing with the kryptonite of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Dennis Allen. He put on a masterclass of defense tonight. You had guys that have played their best ball all year. Malcolm Jenkins was looking really good. He was locking down Gronk tonight. You had Super Florida alum, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He came out and he put on a clinic tonight, covering the slot. He kind of got banged up there towards the end. You had Demario Davis playing some of his best ball of the year we've seen. They talked about it on the broadcast. Cam Jordan only had like 2 sacks on the year coming to this game, and he had 2 sacks and a forced fumble on the night. It was a big night for Cam Jordan. I even wrote down in my notes, Cam Jordan is the defensive MVP for this game. Yeah, he was a stud tonight. So let's get into my breakdown. So they come out, and I said the New Orleans defense is stepping up and they're putting pressure. Early on I was like, okay, that they're doing their job. New Orleans is doing what they're supposed to do. Can they do it, all game long? They came out and they did it on that opening drive. And then what I didn't expect to see was the Marquez Callaway show. I mean, early on, you had Taysom Hill. He was hitting Marquez Callaway deep, and they talked about it on the broadcast. He hit a back shoulder, middle of the field post where Callaway just he was running that deep post, and Taysom Hill underthrew it by quite a bit. And so Callaway just stopped, turned, and he got up there and caught that jump ball just like he caught that Hail Mary against Washington this year to end the half. And so then the Bucs came back out, and it looked like it was just going to be Buccaneers' usual business. Okay, we had a rough first drive, no big deal. We're going to come back out, and we're going to get things going now. We started a little slow, but hiccups happen. So they come out, and all of a sudden, you can see it. Chris Godwin is this team's number one wide receiver. And Mike Evans is basically just a speedy tight end that they use a lot of the time for his size. But, I mean, they've got Godwin doing everything under the sun in this game. They've got him blocking, doing crack blocks on linebackers. They've got him, going on crossers over the middle. They were using him as a number one wide receiver in this game, and it showed. And so I wrote down in my notes that Chris Godwin is the clear-cut number one wide receiver for this team. And that's big because, correct me if I'm wrong, but they signed him to a franchise deal last year. He signed the franchise tag. And so he's going to need a new contract this offseason. And he was playing lights out. He, of course, took that big shot over the middle and, where he kind of did the headstand and bent his neck, and that shot on his knee probably tore his knee up. I seen a report that said that he's going to have to miss some time with that MCL sprain, which I believe is the same injury that Alvin Kamara had that kept him out for 3 or 4 weeks this year. So expect him to be gone 3 or 4 weeks, Tampa fans. I wrote next drive. Cam Jordan is wrecking Brady's night. He was in his face all night. He was flying around the edge. They were lining him up over guards and centers, and they were lining him up outside and over the tackle. And it didn't matter where they lined him up at. He was dominating the man in front of him. It got to a point where Ryan Jensen was even having trouble snapping the ball because that pressure was coming so quick and so fast that Jensen was more worried about blocking the man in front of him and giving Brady a few seconds than getting Brady a good snap. And, it caused some problems on that last drive. You could really see Brady getting frustrated in this game, and there's the infamous clip of him on the sideline, and he slams down the tablet, and, he breaks the tablet or whatever. And that's Brady's thing. Like, once you ruffle Brady's feathers, you get him out of his zone and you can pretty much do whatever. But, if he's in his zone and you don't knock him out of his zone, he is laser focused and he's going to beat you. And he's going to be methodical. He's like a doctor, a surgeon. He's going to go in there and be very precise and just tear you apart. So, and then, of course, we're at the end of the first half. You see Mike Evans, he hobbles off the field, and next thing you know, they come on TV and they say he's doubtful to return. He's not going to be coming back in this one. He messed up his hamstring, so it was unfortunate to see that because that was not very long after they had lost Godwin. So now you're talking about Tampa has now lost, to this point, their number one and number two weapons on off their receivers. Like, man. So now we're talking about you got Leonard Fournette and Gronk. Those are basically Brady's weapons he has. And we keep going. And I even wrote in my notes to that point after I saw he went out. I said, Brady must use Gronk and Fournette to win the game. Well, he tried to get Gronk. Gronk was, I don't know what was wrong with Gronk tonight, but it seemed like he was struggling to hold on to the ball. It seemed like he had quite a few drops in this game. He just seemed off to me. And he was off. He struggled in this one. He ended the game with a horrible stat line. He's got 2 catches for 20 yards. Well, that doesn't really tell the whole story because he really dropped quite a few balls that he could have had. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Gronk, but he did not look like his usual self tonight. I don't know if he's banged up, he's dealing with some things. This is the NFL. We're all dealing with things. We've all got injuries. We're all nicked up. So, and then right before half, Saints D-line is controlling and pressuring Brady. It was there all night, that whole front. And it wasn't, I know I've talked a lot about Cam Jordan, it being Cam Jordan, but really it wasn't. It wasn't just Cam Jordan because Davenport got a lot of pressure tonight. He was, Brady was almost sliding the line to protect him from Cam Jordan. And when he did that, it caused immediate pressure from Davenport. And don't get it twisted, Davenport's a freak too. Davenport actually reminds me a lot of a Washington player. Reminds me a lot of Montez Sweat. Both about 6'6", both about 260. Both are freak athletes. I don't think that Davenport ran a 4.4 or whatever Montez ran, but it was pretty close. I think it was pretty close. So Davenport, that's who he reminds me of. He's a freak, though. If you're going to slide the line and show that you're not afraid of him, he's going to make you pay because he was flying around the edge. He was that 1-2 punch with Cam Jordan tonight, and he showed it. He showed that, you might think I'm a first-round bust, but you give me a chance, and I'll make you pay for it. So, and then, by that time it was half. It was 6-0, just a couple of field goals in this one. I was like, man, I bet Tampa comes out in the second half, and they're just going to come out like gangbusters. They make their adjustments, and they're going to come back out, and it's going to be gone. It's, because by this time, New Orleans had kind of put their offense into cruise control. It was, they were doing some stuff with Kamara, swinging him out wide, leaving Ingram in the backfield. They were putting, him on slants and little option routes, but it wasn't really working. I mean, there was definitely a big miscommunication between Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara in this one. It's like they weren't on the same page. Kamara would go on a slant or something, and the ball would be way behind him when he goes to catch it, or he'd go the wrong way on an option route. Taysom was expecting him inside, he'd go outside, and gosh darn, damn near threw an interception. I mean, it was a mess, and so kind of glad they deviated from that plan because it wasn't working with Kamara. But at the same time, what they did afterwards really wasn't the answer either. So that takes us to the second half. And on that opening drive in the second half, you see Fournette. They swing Fournette out wide, put him on a slant, and he takes a nasty hit, and he gets helicoptered and ends up doing the splits. And I was like, oh, boy. Next thing you know, Fournette's out. They're saying Fournette's not going to come back in this one. And, you look at it, now your injuries are really piling up. You've lost your number one in Chris Godwin. You've lost your number two in Mike Evans. You've lost your third option in Leonard Fournette. So, basically, you're down to Gronk, and he's struggling. He's already been having a lot of drops in this one. I mean, you got Cameron Brate. I don't know how fond of Tom Brady is because to this point he hasn't really been using him, hasn't really been targeting him in this game. He continued to take the deep shot to Jalen Darden. I don't know. I see Jalen Darden as a Jakeem Grant type player. He's really quick, really fast. Not really much more than a punt returner, though. I guess kind of like you would say that DeAndre Carter was looked at when Washington brought him in. He's like, okay, might solve our punt return, kick return problems, but other than that, I don't really see him as a receiving weapon. Cam Jordan continued to just wreck this game, continued to just run roughshod over Brady in this game, pressure him around the edge, bull rush. It didn't matter. It did not matter in this one. Cam Jordan in this game with 5 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. I mean, that's the MVP of this game. It wasn't Taysom Hill. They tried to make it Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, they ran it with him way too much in this one, I think. They went to that QB power way too often, and they didn't use Kamara enough, and they really didn't get Ingram involved. They tried to get Ingram involved, but it wasn't. I mean, Ingram really looks like a shell of himself to this point. I mean, he tries so hard to, stay positive and get positive yards on every single play, but number one, it looks like he's lost a step. Number two, he doesn't have that same power running the ball that he had when he was at Alabama in his first stint with New Orleans after they drafted him and he won the Heisman. He's at the end of the road, I think, Mark Ingram is. But the Buccaneers D, I felt bad for Todd Bowles in this one. You hold your opponent to nine points. You're the number one offense and can't win. Brady can't get anything going without his top 3 stars. Like nothing. No, couldn't get field goals, really. Not even field goals. I get that this is a solid New Orleans Saints defense, but man, kudos to Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, coached this thing lights out tonight. I mean, and I was just puzzled because I felt like one of the reasons that New Orleans struggled to put any more points on the board throughout the night was their lack of using Kamara. I know I talked about a disconnect between Taysom Hill and Kamara, but you also have to look at it from a different aspect where Kamara is your number one weapon. And really, I mean, when you talk about a number 2 weapon, the only person I can think of, Marquez Callaway, really, because, I mean, he's got that deep threat ability, that burn you over the top ability. He can go up and get 50-50 balls. So maybe that's a hot take, but I definitely think that Marquez Callaway is the number 2 weapon on this team until they get Michael Thomas back. No doubt about it. And I think that the Saints are the Bucs' kryptonite. Dennis Allen is the Bucs' kryptonite. I mean, just what he was able to do, come in on a short week and coach these guys up and get them ready to play today without Sean Payton. Because I believe it was pretty late in the week when Sean Payton tested positive. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. So that only gave him a couple of days to prepare. And, they probably already had their preparation in. But you just got to change the way you coach a little bit when you lose a guy like Sean Payton, who's like top 10 NFL coaches. In my eyes, he is. Not right now. In history, top 10. I mean, what he's been able to do with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston and all these guys after he's gone through Breeze and had Breeze for so long. And an argument can be made that he turned Breeze into what Breeze was. Breeze had the drive and determination to be great, but, somebody had to coach that into him. He wasn't a great quarterback playing for the Chargers. That's why he got replaced by Phillip Rivers. So, it is what it is at this point. This is not the same Saints team that beat Washington. No, this is a much better Saints team than beat Washington. Granted, they don't have Jameis. There's the Jameis factor. Jameis is a better quarterback than Taysom. But what it comes down to is that defense. That defense is playing like a top 5 defense right now. And it's not what we saw when it was earlier in the season. They were building up to what they're at now. So kudos to the Saints. It hurts my feelings because I needed a Saints loss because I believe that puts us out of the 7 spot in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday with Washington. We'll see what happens tomorrow night with the Browns and the Raiders. We'll see what happens also on Tuesday with the Seahawks and Rams. Should be some interesting games. Stay tuned, guys. I will probably put out my official – I've been waiting to put out my official Washington preview because of all the COVID stuff. I was going to put it out Saturday, but then they announced that they were changing the NFL protocols and that there was potential of moving a game. So when I found that out, I decided I was going to wait to record and wait to put out my video for the Washington-Philly preview. But you're going to get it. You're going to get a Washington-Philly preview from me. I believe it's going to come out tomorrow at some point. It's a big game for Washington. It's a big game for Philly. It's a family business thing, kind of like this game was tonight. It's a family business thing. We know each other very well, so I think both teams are excited to get out there and play. Washington is getting a lot of their big-time guys back. They just got James Smith-Williams, Casey Toohill, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen yesterday. And today they got Cam Sims and Daniel Wise back. So who knows? Could be getting more guys back in the next couple of days. I have heard that Washington believes they can get back Kyle Allen and potentially Taylor Heineke. But that's stuff for the Philly preview. I start rolling into that. It's been great to sit here and talk with you guys about this game. We'll talk more later. Like, share, and subscribe this video. Leave your comments down below. Comment anything, guys. Feel free. Just, if there's stuff you guys want to see that I'm not doing, or there's suggestions you guys have for me correcting things, let me know, and we will correct them immediately. Like I've said before, hit me up on Twitter, or even hit me up on Facebook, guys. Derek Manning, this pretty face. Hit me up there. I'll get somebody to come on the show. I'd love to sit and chat with some of you other fans. You don't even have to be a Washington fan or nothing. You can be a Philly fan. I'll bring a Philly fan on here. We'll talk rivalry stuff. I'll talk with Cowboys fans. Come on here and just, blow the wind, blow the smoke with me, and we'll chat football. Just like a couple guys in a bar. And so anyways, hit me up on Twitter. Find the podcast on Apple Podcast and Spotify and all your other podcast sources. And come back here. Watch some more of my primetime recaps. Till next time, it's your boy, Burgundy Boss, and we're out.